Well, here we are at the crossroads of the world, Grand and Gravois, which is always one of our favorite corners with Kathy here, and we're going to go out and find out what people on this street corner think about St. Louis.
Tell us what St. Louis means to you.
St. Louis means the world to us.
That's right.
Yeah, we do.
KC especially.
I love Grand and Gravois as I growed up here. All my life. We love St. Louis.
Bye. Keep the traffic moving.
The clip you just saw aired on television one time, very late at night, way back in 1994. Now, decades later, one of the men in that video, the driver of that pickup truck, has become internet famous, all because of the way that he smiled at the camera. This completely unknown man has become something of a beloved, unofficial mascot for the city of St. Louis. There are Facebook pages dedicated to this man, Facebook groups full of these doctored images using this man's smiling face. Artwork that people are making dedicated to a man whose name they don't even know. Now, the odds of something like this happening are so astronomically small, especially in this case, where this footage was only seen once, way back before the internet, and then it was more or less lost for the next 20 years. So many strange things had to fall into place for this to have gotten to this point. How on earth did this innocent bystander become a meme 25 years later? Who is this man? Does he have any idea that any of this is even going on? Does he still love the city of St. Louis the way he did back in 1994? Is he even still alive? My name is Joe Parisi, and I want to find the answers to these questions. Our search begins with a look back at where the clip originated from in the first place. Worldwide Magazine was this late-night public access TV program that ran from 1986 until 2001 in the St. Louis area.
Thrown out of the VP stand for not having a press pass. There's about 20 policemen. Show them a policeman.
I suspect the only people who have even heard of this program are people who were living in St. Louis between the mid-'80s and late 90s, who also happened to be the type of people that appreciated those weird things you could come across on late-night local TV. Even back when the show was on TV every week, most people in St. Louis didn't know anything about it.
A grievous mistake by the Clayton Gas.
The show's host, editor, cameraman, and overall creative force was a local cab driver who had spent time working in radio and television. His name was Pete Parisi. And no, we're not related. He made this show as a hobby, and he always hoped that it would lead to something better professionally for him. That never happened. The show was raw, controversial, confrontational, and downright silly.
I want to show you everybody your tax dollars at work. These hard, valiant people sitting here a week after the flood, collecting a fat city paycheck. Not doing anything. I got two for you.
Here's a new highway that was built by the county so that people from other communities could drive through Wellston even faster.
The show was simultaneously a love letter to St. Louis and a scathing complaint letter. Presented by a colorful group of local characters during the heyday of public access television.
You're right.
You know I'm right. I'm always right.
This does suck. Let's go.
A 2022 Riverfront Times article described the show as, quote, not a dry accounting of crime statistics and city budgets, but rather a romp from the point of view of some South City underdogs. The last new episode was produced in the year 2000. In January 2002, Pete Parisi passed away due to complications from diabetes. For the next decade plus, Worldwide Magazine and that name, Pete Parisi, were just a memory. Now here's what makes our smiling anonymous man's bizarre internet fame all the more unlikely. The episode that he was featured on aired one time on television. Nobody saw it again for 18 years. For that 18 years in between, this footage was not available to anyone unless you had recorded that original broadcast yourself off of television. It turns out somebody had recorded that episode off of television, and that VHS tape ended up in the hands of a local man named Jim Varagona.
Guy that ran a fan site on Angel Fire, and he had a big collection of tapes, and he didn't want to be mixed up in the world of Worldwide Magazine anymore, so he said he'd sell it all to me for $200, and I met him in a fast food parking lot and got boxes of tapes out of a guy's trunk. Yeah, it's been an interesting ride, and I think I wouldn't call myself a super fan, but I have an appreciation for the work and preserving it. I think of it as a historical archive of sorts. If you asked me how many tapes there are, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
If you've seen any sort of clip from Worldwide Magazine on the internet, chances are it was put there by Jim. Over the past 22 years, he's been acquiring tapes from a variety of sources. He now actually owns Pete Parisi's own video collection, which for many years was assumed to be lost. The collection has grown huge. In his spare time, he digitizes this footage and uploads it to the World Wide Web, where it lives on the Worldwide Magazine, Facebook, and YouTube pages, both of which Jim started and now manages. Jim grew accustomed to seeing these uploads reach a few hundred views, maybe. Occasionally a video would break 1,000. But that suddenly all changed the day he uploaded the clip featuring our smiling anonymous stranger.
So I cut out that clip at the crossroads of the world and put that on Facebook, and it kind of took off from there. Just several minutes of Pete and Kathy at this intersection of Grand and Gravois.
What St. Louis means to you.
St. Louis means the world to us. That's right. Yeah.
The views on that video are, I think last I checked, around 200,000, which is way more than anything else I've put out there. But you do see some stuff kind of take off. Got a lot of more people interested, kind of discovering Worldwide Magazine that either were too young to see it back then or didn't even know it existed, or they forgot that it existed. So there's a lot of nostalgia there. And I mean, nostalgia is huge these days for people. So to kind of bring that back for them and remind them of different things, I mean, it's fun. It's really fun. And to see how it's kind of taken off into its own thing has been fun to see.
Before I left Jim's house, he showed me some other really interesting items that he's acquired over the years that once belonged to Pete Parisi.
So this is the actual record that Pete used for the there's been generally 2 theme songs for Worldwide Magazine. The first one was China Boy by the Red Nichols and His 5 Pennies. And this is the actual record that Pete used. So this is Nippy. It's one of those RCA dogs. Pete Parisi owned this, and it sat in the living room with him where he would do his editing. He's in good shape. And it kind of shows Pete's appreciation for the bygone era.
I figured if anyone had been able to figure out the true identity of our guy in that video, it would be Jim. What I learned is Jim had figured out the man's identity. Jim had tried to reach out to him at one point, but never got any sort of response.
That man would be honored like a celebrity in person somewhere, to shake his hand, get pictures with him. Yeah, it would be something.
That afternoon, I left the South City home of Jim Varagona with a true appreciation for all the work that he's done to preserve Worldwide Magazine. I also left with a name. Having this name to go off of was huge, but locating this guy was a different story. I sent text messages. I called half a dozen different phone numbers that seemed like they were somehow associated with this guy. I sent Facebook messages, you name it. Nothing. Just dead end after dead end after dead end. Then I began to consider that maybe this guy knew all about this thing and wanted nothing to do with it. Maybe he didn't want to be found at all, and it would be best if I just dropped this whole thing. I'd all but given up on this whole idea. And then a call came in. So, tell me your name.
I'm Ray Middleton, owner of Middleton Tuck Pointing and Brickwork. I growed up here. Still growing up here. I'm a kid at heart.
So tell me about that day back in 1994. You and your 2 friends are riding around in the truck. What were you guys up to that day?
Oh, well, to be honest with you, we was just getting off work and we left a gentleman's club in Illinois. And we was on our way home. But
Who were the 2 guys with you?
My real good friend Donald Ardinger and my brother Scott Middleton.
Gotcha. Who was the one in the middle? Was that your brother?
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
Okay, he was yelling and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, are those guys still around? You still in touch with them?
Still friends. Talk to them every day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when you got approached by a couple of people with a camera at the intersection of Grand and Gravois,
Yeah.
did you have any idea who they were, what they were doing?
Did not have a clue, man.
Okay.
It's just like, didn't know what to think about it,
So that clip aired as part of this public access TV show, Worldwide Magazine.
Yeah.
Probably a month or 2 after they filmed it.
Yeah.
Did you know that was on TV?
No, I didn't. Didn't even have a clue about it.
For more than 2 decades, Ray and his friends had no idea that quick little interview they did ended up on television. They only started to figure this whole thing out years later when the memes started circulating online and friends of theirs stumbled across them, recognizing their faces.
Interesting. So I guess people started sending you
Oh.
the pictures from the internet.
all kinds of them, you know.
So they're
I was
superimposing your
yeah.
face on all kinds of goofy
Oh God,
stuff.
yeah, it was good. It was good. I didn't know what to think about it. I was just like, wow.
Did it bother you at all?
No, I'm pretty photogenic. You know, I'm not scared of cameras. Sorry about this traffic.
That's all right, man. It's character. So tell me about the other two guys in the video with you, what they're up to these days.
Oh, my buddy Don, he's the guy on the passing right by the door. He moved out to Piedmont. He lives out there, and he works at a steel company up here, but that's where he chooses to live. And we got the people passing me up. But yeah, and then my brother Scott, I got him out working already this morning, and it's just us three. And me, you know, I take care of all my customers as best I can. And, I used to have like 15 employees at once, and that was quite a task keeping the tabs on everybody. I love brickwork, so you know it's everywhere around me. You know. This thing right here is what we make money with. Putting it in and putting it out, you know. Every mortar joint's different. But that's all I've been doing, bricks and mortar all my life. You're only here for a certain amount of time. You got to make it count, man. Got to make it count. Because if you don't, you ain't making a statement, and you tend to be getting forgot about. So that's what I do. I just like to do. I make good every day. Every day I do something. I make all my steps count, because tomorrow ain't promised. You know, so you got to do everything. You know, just make everything count every day.
What would you like to say to the guys that put these videos on the internet and kind of launched this whole weird little level of internet fame that has found you?
I'd like to thank them and tell them they did a great job. You know, there's some pretty neat things I see on Facebook that really blows me away. But yeah, that's good. You know, I hope everybody's doing good and everything like that. You know, but I just love St. Louis. But I did grow up here.